Hello, hello. Good morning. Going live to record the upcoming week of my daily podcast and their horoscopes. And I just woke up. So I'm having my coffee, taking my time, but we will be recording for the week of September 29th through October 5th. So if you want a preview of what to expect for that upcoming astrology, this is the place to be. Okay. And I'm trying to be quiet because my baby is asleep, and we all know I have to do this when my baby sleeps. So, which means first thing in the morning. All right. I got my little cat Luna behind me. We're good to go. All right. Let's start with Monday, September 29th. This is your daily horoscope for Monday, September 29th, 2025. The action starts out around 3 a.m. when the moon enters Capricorn. Next up, around 4 a.m., the moon in Capricorn forms a square with Neptune in Aries. And this can bring an element of fog, confusion, or even exhaustion our way. It's going to be easier for us to give into assumptions, for misunderstandings to take place, and to just feel like we need to slow down. This is an important time to drink extra water, to listen to your body, and to know that some of your fears, your anxieties might pop up, and if you can avoid making important life decisions around this time, it's recommended. We can't always do that, but just know that we're not seeing the full picture for what it really is. So I think as long as you're avoiding giving into assumptions, that is the most important use and reminder of this energy. Now, the main event of the day takes place around 5 p.m., and that is the first quarter moon in Capricorn. Now, this is taking place at 7 degrees. So, if you have any planets or placements around 7 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you're the main characters. And this is important in particular because this is our gateway out of eclipse season. So we've really been in eclipse season since around September 1st, whenever we had that last quarter. Was it the last quarter moon? Um, right before the full moon lunar eclipse. Oh no, so it would have been another first quarter moon. Okay. So we're at the tail end of eclipse season. We are coming out the other side, and it might bring up themes regarding your eclipse story and even in the collective as well. Even though it's coming through in different signs, it's still that final indicator of the moon cycle that we're now moving on. So, I also just want to say that the last 2 weeks of episodes, I had to record early because I had some travel planned and I had some events that I was attending and I had to work ahead of time. And I feel like so much has happened since then. I don't even know where to begin, but since we are talking about eclipse season and how incredibly intense this eclipse season was, I just want to elevate some important things that have gone on in the world and in our country at my time of recording this today, which is the morning of September 23rd. The Miami Herald has reported that two-thirds of the people who were kidnapped and held at Alligator Alcatraz are missing. They're not even in ICE's database. That is incredibly terrifying. Where are these people? Where's the accountability? I'm not even seeing mainstream media other than, I mean, the Miami Herald is local media, but where is the outrage and where are these people? This is something we need to keep our focus on. Now, also, I want to give a trigger warning regarding anti Blackness and murder. We had a lynching of Trey Reed, a 21-year-old Black college student in Mississippi. And I'm going to put some resources in the show notes for you to contact the Cleveland, Mississippi Police Department. You can call them, you can email them, but we need full transparency into his death. And he deserves justice. His family deserves justice. He should still be here. And the police department has ruled that it was an autopsy. And Colin Kaepernick or his foundation is actually paying for an independent autopsy. There were reports that he had a broken leg, a broken arm. We know better. We know this was not a suicide, even though that is what the police's autopsy and coroner has ruled it. This is something, a story that we need to keep paying attention to. We need to keep our focus on, and we need to keep fighting for justice for Trey Reed and his family. There were so many other events. I mean, the right wing influencer who was shot, I don't even think we can say his name. Jimmy Kimmel was canceled because of it. Um, and just kind of the uproar from that whole event, but then also how it's kind of snowballed and been used and leveraged as this great distraction from everything else that's unfolding around the country. Right now, the government is working to classify trans people and allies as terrorists. There is a specific abbreviation. I think it's NVE or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but you can read this story. This is incredibly terrifying and horrific, and it's straight out of the Nazi playbook. And if you have been silent, reading the news, feeling helpless, this is a reminder, especially if you are white bodied, white presenting, you have got to use your privilege. Your privilege. It is so important for you to use your privilege. Your voice matters. And essentially, there is no left, there is no right, there's no Democrats versus Republicans. It is the 1% versus the rest of us, and we need each other. And if we weren't powerful together, they wouldn't be working so hard to demonize us, to punish us, to suppress us, to censor us. And if we've learned anything from the canceling of Jimmy Kimmel, it should be that pressure and boycotts work, because look what happened after 1 week. He's coming back to the air. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I know there's so much more that can be said, but I have just felt like I haven't been able to use my voice on my podcast since I did so much pre-recording in the past few weeks during eclipse season. Now, one other thing I will say about the first quarter moon in Capricorn that is happening, it is going to bring us back to September 21st, which was the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. So, similar themes and topics can come up, and this might feel like a moment of taking action, or that kind of builds upon your personal eclipse story as well. All right. Hmm, let me save that one. cat is, hey, she's been overlicking herself and she's not allowed to do that. But I gave her freedom from her cone of shame and she's just abusing it behind me. She's like, Mom, you're not looking, you're not paying attention, you're working. I'm always paying attention. Hey, you mind? I'm about to put her cone back on. Okay. Let's see. We're going to get into Tuesday, September 30th. The good news is this week's astrology is so much calmer than eclipse season. So it might even feel a little like, whoa, like you went from 60 to 0 all of a sudden. We are still like processing and dealing with our eclipse stories and aftermath. So maybe not fully 0, but you get what I mean. Okay, here we go. This is your daily horoscope for Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. The action starts out around 5 a.m. when the moon in Capricorn forms a trine with Venus and Virgo. This is a sweet way to wake up. Venus is a planet of connection, our creativity, our values, and support. And the moon represents our emotional world. And so when the moon and Venus come together, it can be a sweet interaction. It could be lucky or supportive news. It could just be a simple feeling like things are moving along in the right direction. It could be waking up to a sexy moment. Maybe you have a delicious breakfast. Whatever it is, this is something that could be a physical experience or something that involves your senses that makes you feel grateful or brings you back into your body or the present moment. Now, around 8:30 p.m., the moon in Capricorn will form a square with Mercury in Libra. And this can kick up mental activity, whether it is communication, catching up on emails, text messages, working on a writing project, overthinking. Sometimes it can also be a moment where you're having important conversations or you feel pressured to make a decision. And sometimes it can be a moment where words sting. So we do have Mercury coming through in Libra, which is concerned with our one on one relationships. And so sometimes you might learn something around this time that tests your sense of comfort or safety in some way. But in general, I would see this as just a chattier time. Now, around 10:30 p.m., we have the moon in Capricorn forming in opposition to Jupiter in Cancer. Now, this window of time, these 2 hours between 8:30 and 10:30 are important because the moon is bouncing between Mercury and Jupiter. And tomorrow, on October 1st, Mercury will form a square with Jupiter. And that's going to be our main aspect. So, as the moon travels between these two planets, it is reactivating in a preemptive way those themes and giving us a little preview of what to expect. So, when the moon is opposite Jupiter, it can bring big emotional reactions. So, this could look like a big cry. It could look like a moment of excitement or celebration. It could look like a moment of exhaustion if you've been overdoing it. Sometimes it does coincide with a revelation regarding your beliefs or even an important development regarding your goals and dreams. Cute. Okay, we're gonna save that. I gotta put the cone on my cat. I'm gonna ask for you to forgive me all while I get up really quickly and put the cone on my cat. And then we'll get into October 1st. Can you believe it's October? I really feel like the older I get, the more I'm like, time isn't real. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this year has just like flown by. I feel like it was just January. Okay, hold on. Let me put the cone on my cat and I'll be right back. Me again. Okay, we're gonna do Wednesday, October 1st. Here we go. This is your daily horoscope for Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. The action starts out around 8:30 a.m. when the moon in Capricorn forms a sextile with Saturn in Pisces. This is very grounding energy. If you have anything that you need to get done for the day, especially if it's like a tedious task or something that you've been putting off on your to-do list, this energy can just help you do it and give you the focus and the structure needed to complete that task. This is also going to help you feel a little bit more grounded and practical emotionally. So you're not having wild emotional reactions. You are operating from a place of maturity and stability. And it can help you discuss boundaries and expectations in a mature way. Now, around 1 p.m., we have a vibe shift. The moon will enter Aquarius. Around 2 p.m., the moon in Aquarius will form a sextile with Neptune in Aries. And this brings compassionate and gentle energy. It is great for having meaningful conversations with other people. It's great for divination, connecting to your intuition. You might feel a little bit more sensitive around this time. Maybe you feel more plugged into the world and how interconnected we all are. This could be a moment that reminds you of that. This can encourage you to take action or have ideas that benefit the collective as well. Now, around 2 p.m., Mercury in Libra will form a square with Jupiter in Cancer. This is taking place at 22 degrees. So, if you have any planets or placements around 22 degrees of the cardinal signs, that is Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you will feel the effects of this the most intensely. Typically, when Mercury and Jupiter come together, it can be a busy mind, right? Mercury's communication, it's our mind. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and overdoing it. But sometimes, Jupiter also has to do with our beliefs and our goals and our dreams and what is just. And both of these planets have to do with learning. So, this can be a great time to expand your mind, to learn something new, to have conversations about your lived experience that shift other people's perspectives. This could be a time where, excuse me, I got a burp. Okay. This could be a time where you learn dramatic news, or maybe there's some sort of gossip that feels over the top. I would definitely recommend avoiding gossip today if you can. This is also energy that helps you take inspired action on your goals or implement some of your ideas as well. So, on one hand, yes, it can be gossipy. It can be a time of overthinking. It can be a time of overcommitting, overpromising, underdelivering, or being too exhausted and worn down to keep up with your commitments and your schedule. But it can be this time of expanding your mind, your horizons, and even new, exciting, hopeful, or inspiring developments. Now, around 3 p.m., the moon in Aquarius will form a trine with Uranus and Gemini. This brings an element of change, adaptability, taking risks. And it's not in this overtly intense way. It's subtle, it's gentle. It invites you to embrace change with excitement. It can help you change your mindset, the way you speak to yourself. It can help you change the way you view a specific situation, either in your personal life or in the world at large. This can bring a divine download. This would be great energy to work with your intuition as well. And finally, around 3 p.m., And finally, around 3:30 p.m., the moon in Aquarius will form a conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. And this can kick up some of your fears, your insecurities. Pluto is this planet of intensity, of death, rebirth, transformation. It has this way of kicking up our survival instincts, our coping mechanisms, and it can have you fixated on the past or the future, but it is really, really hard to just sit and be in the present. This is an invitation to run towards your shadow side, to face some of your fears, to alchemize your pain. And ultimately, when you sit with the thoughts or the feelings that make you most uncomfortable and you embrace them with self awareness, and even forgiveness for yourself, this can be a period of catharsis or even empowerment. Oh, you start my day with my podcast. Thank you so much. That makes me so happy. I hope it is helpful in planning your day. That is my dream of dreams as someone with a Virgo moon. Um, I've been journaling along with the transits for years, and I was like, you know what? I could do this in a podcast format. And I just hope that it helps others the way it's helped me. Oh, good. Yay. Well, thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Where are you tuning in from? How are the eclipses for you? Let me know what your big three are if you want a little eclipse, rundown. I'd be happy to chat that out with you over the chat. Um, that last eclipse was just, it knocked me over. I was so tired for like 3 days. And yes, I'm a sleepy person, but I could just barely function. I was so, so tired. But yeah, let me know your big 3 and we can chat about an upcoming transit for you or something like that. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to record Thursday's episode. Here we go. It will be a quickie. This is your daily horoscope for Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. The action starts out around 1:30 a.m. when the moon in Aquarius forms a square with Mars in Scorpio. And even though this is taking place at night, at least over here on the West Coast, this could be a moment where you wake up feeling energized, or maybe you have a hard time going to bed. This could be a moment where you wake up angry, full of passion. For some, it could be like a little sexy moment. For others, it could be a moment of tension or conflict. If you are awake wherever you are in the world listening to this at this time, it could be a moment where you need to defend yourself. You need to stand up for something you believe in. You are protecting something. And it could also be a busy time, a moment where you feel under pressure to either take action or make a decision. And energy just feels a little bit more heightened around this time. Now, around 6:30 a.m., the moon in Aquarius will form a trine with the sun in Libra, and this is much better energy to start out the day. This means our inner world, the moon, and our outer self, the sun, are meeting in a gentle and compassionate connection. So there is progress between the Aquarius and the Libra sections of our birth chart. And we're just feeling supported. We're feeling like things are moving along. These are coming through in air signs. So communication is going smoothly as well. Now, this happens in the early hours of Thursday. So that also means that the moon will be void in Aquarius for the majority of the day. And Again, reminder, when the moon is void, it means that it is wandering throughout the sky and it is not making any important connections with other planets. And so we might feel like we are wandering throughout our days. So this is just a call out and a reminder to be gentle with yourself. This isn't the day where you are going to crush your to-do list, where you are going to perform 100% out of 100%. Like, just be gentle with yourself, listen to your body, and know that productive energy returns tomorrow. Okay, let me save that one. We are flying through these because it's much, much simpler astrology this week than eclipse season astrology. My goodness. Okay, let's see. You are a Gemini sun, a Cancer moon, a Scorpio rising. Do you happen to know the degree of your Scorpio rising? Curious. Okay, so as a Scorpio rising, the Pisces eclipse would have been, and the Virgo eclipse would have affected your fifth and 11th houses. So that is the axis that has to do with pleasure, creativity, um, and friendships and your dreams and your self expression. So sometimes it could be a change in a romantic situation or experimenting with your sexuality or finding a hobby you really enjoy or a milestone regarding a project that you're working on that you feel excited about or just also learning how to take up more space and like have more joy and be connected to the present moment. Now, with that last eclipse that we had in Virgo, there could have also been some sort of like shift in a friendship, maybe a loss of a friend or um, setting a boundary in a friendship, or maybe a feeling of not belonging, but like of searching for belonging and feeling like, when am I going to find this group of people that just supports me or lifts me up in some way? I don't know. You tell me if any of those themes feel relevant to you. But yeah, or even some sort of big development regarding like a long-term dream you've had for yourself or a goal. Like maybe you were like, this doesn't feel meaningful anymore. And I'd rather shift gears and pursue X instead of Y. That could have also popped up. Oh, okay. It's okay, so duh, the 5th house rules children. I rarely talk about that in my horoscopes because I'm like, I'm a mom. I don't want everyone to think I'm just talking about children because I'm a mom, but maybe I should because a lot of people are parents. Um, um, Sending you love. I hope that you're, processing that because I'm sure that must have been very difficult. But these eclipses were intense. And yeah, if you can let me know what the degree of your Scorpio rising, I'm curious. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So much Saggy. Sag, sun, moon, and rising. Holy macaroni. Fierce though. And what a personality. And I'm sure like so authentic. Like what you see is what you get. That is so beautiful. Um, I will say, so tomorrow we have Mars square Pluto. Mars is going to be in Scorpio, so in your first house, and Pluto is in your fourth house of home and family. So this would also bring up a need to set important boundaries in your personal life, especially with your chosen family and relatives, and even dealing with like power struggles and pushing back against anyone who kind of questions who you are, what you desire, like um what you're focused on, how you're showing up in the world, and it's an opportunity to kind of reclaim your power in places and relationships where you've given it away. But tomorrow's astrology is a little bit intense, but we have Mars square Pluto I think at least once a year. So it's not like, like don't hide in your house, but just know that people are going to be a little bit more intense and reactive. And we're totally feeling it today. It's energy that kind of like builds. So, and it was also in the backdrop of those intense eclipses as well. So, just want to affirm that that kind of energy is still kind of like percolating in the air, and it would affect your chart more personally because you're Scorpio rising. Okay, let's do Friday, October 3rd. This is your daily horoscope for Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Around 11 a.m., Mercury in Libra forms an opposition with Chiron in Aries. This is taking place at 25 degrees. So if you have any planets or placements around 25 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you're going to feel this the most intensely. Had to burp, had to pause. Okay. This is also going to bring us back to September 16th, which was the day when Mars in Libra formed an opposition to Chiron in Aries. Now, Chiron is our wounded healer. So it represents some of our deepest pains, our wounding that we carry with us throughout our life that pops up every now and then. And Mercury is the planet of communication, conversations, information as well, right? I just said that. So when Mercury sits across the sky from Chiron, it can be a moment where you feel triggered by something someone says. Maybe you are letting your limiting beliefs win out that day. Maybe you are being a little too critical of yourself and hard on yourself. This could also be a moment of reflecting on your healing journey. Maybe there are important changes or new investments you need to make to continue that path of healing, and you're realizing it by whatever trigger is popping up throughout the day. This is an important time to know that people will be reactive, yourself included. And it's just easier for people to find that one button, that one thing that can really set you off. It's just likelier to happen today. So be gentle with yourself. It's always important to lead with kindness, be gentle with others, and just know that this energy is popping up during the day. Now, around 11 a.m., the moon in Aquarius will form a trine with Mercury in Libra. And this is lovely energy to have in the backdrop. Essentially, the moon is our inner self, our motions, what makes us feel safe, nurtured, and cared for. And Mercury, again, is that planet of communication. So this can be smooth conversations. When Mercury and Chiron come together, it also has to do with healing conversations. So maybe a conversation that does start out as difficult with this moon and Mercury connection. Maybe you are able to open up and be vulnerable, and through that process, even though it is difficult and uncomfortable, maybe you are able to heal a little bit, or it could bring you closer to someone else. This energy is also great for just being productive and getting things done as well. Now, around 7 p.m., the moon will enter Pisces, and around 9 p.m., the moon in Pisces will form a square with Uranus in Gemini. Anytime the moon crashes into Uranus in a harsh aspect, it creates instability and unpredictability. So there could be a sudden event that takes place, a last minute invitation. There could be some sort of revelation that happens. Maybe you solve a problem. Maybe your mind is overactive. Perhaps plans change on a whim. So, this is not the time to double down and force things, but really going with the flow as best you can and just knowing that there could be some twists and turns later on in the day will be very helpful. Okay. On to Saturday, October 4th. That was my grandma's birthday. Rest in peace. I love you. So many Libras in my family. Unreal. And my husband's family. So many Libras. Okay. Here we go. This is your daily horoscope for Saturday, October 4th, 2025. The action starts out around 2 a.m. when Venus in Virgo forms a conjunction with the South Node in Virgo. This is taking place at 18 degrees. So if you have any planets or placements around 18 degrees, you will feel the effects of this the most intensely. Venus is the planet of relationships, our values, our creativity. The South Node is a point of release. Now, in mundane astrology, which is global world astrology, Venus can also be a general signifier of femmes, of trans people, of women, of the LGBTQIA community. And when Venus meets with the South Node, there could be some sort of change, a loss, maybe either through politics or what's been unfolding in the world. Let's not forget what the government is doing now is working on classifying trans people and trans allies as literal terrorists. I need to look up the acronym for what they're I forget what it is. NVE, that's right. Oh, 26 degrees of Scorpio. Okay, okay, so the good news is that it's not going to affect you as intensely, right? It's not hitting it's happening. This connection that I was talking about with Mars square Pluto is happening at 1 degree. So very far away from your rising sign. You're still going to feel it for sure, right? Your Scorpio rising, but it's not going to be like hitting the most personal point in your chart, if that makes sense. I see someone else has joined us. Drop your sun, moon, or rising in the chat if you want to chat about the eclipse and how that unfolded for you and any little insight that I can add. I would be happy to. Um, okay, here we go. Right now, the FBI has been reported to consider classifying transgender people as nihilistic violent extremists or NVEs. So this is real. This is real harm that is unfolding in the world now. It's something we need to be vocal about. We need to check in on our community. We need to use our voices, our privilege to elevate this, to protest this in any way that you can. We all have different roles in the revolution. There are different ways that we can show up. And this is not the time to stand by and be complicit. So I just wanted to call that out with this particular conjunction because with the South Node, it has this lessening energy, this depleting energy, this exhausting energy. And there could be something that unfolds either in the trans community or the other communities that I described that maybe feels heavy on our hearts in some way. Now, the nodes also have to do with fate. So there could be some sort of shift or some sort of event with an important person in your life that feels fated. I will give a personal example, even though I don't like doing that because I have Sun square Pluto in my birth chart. A few days ago, or no, last week, the hold on. I gotta stop this. Venus in the sky met with my South Node in my birth chart, and I lost a family member, not through death, but through their decision to not be around me because of my beliefs and how vocal I am. And that's just an example of something that could manifest. Is everyone going to lose a family member or have a falling out with someone? Absolutely not. But that type of interaction, it's fated, right? Like this is someone who told me they don't ever want to see me again, someone that I've known since I was born. So that type of event that feels fated, right? It happened to me and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is for sure fated. This feels final in a way." That kind of energy exchange can definitely unfold when we have Venus meeting with the South Node. But I also want to add, unless you have planets at 18 degrees of Virgo, it you're not really going to it's very unlikely that you experience it in that way, right? When the nodes are involved, there has to be such an exact contact. So I just want to preface that. Like, I don't want anyone to go in today really freaked out. It could also just simply, and this is probably a more general reading of this energy, I would say most people will probably experience this as feeling nostalgic about love or experiencing a change in a relationship pattern or dynamic. And that could be letting go of the ways that you've showed up in a relationship that maybe are harmful, that you are ready to move on from and evolve from. Okay. So it can be constructive as well. Now, the final aspect of the day takes place around 9:30 a.m. The moon in Pisces forms a trine with Mars in Scorpio. And this is busy energy. This is great for being productive. It's great for being bold and confident and courageous, for defending others, for standing up for what you believe in. That's all that Martian quality, that Mars and Scorpio. This could also be a moment where you finally cry. If you've been bottling up feelings, we have these two planets coming through in water signs, and Mars helps us take action, right? So, this could definitely be a moment where you are processing your feelings and your emotions. It could, for some, be a moment where you have a sexy encounter. Mars is in Scorpio. That's a pretty steamy placement. And it could also, for others, just be a time where you're busy, you're getting things done, and you're feeling good about it. Okay. October 4th. Saving that one. Okay. And then on to 5 people are here. OMG. Please drop your sun, moon, and rising in the chat. I would love to chit chat about the eclipse, I'll let you know about some upcoming transits and the themes, how they might affect your birth chart. Maybe I'll pull a card for someone too. I got my cards here. Let's do that. My baby's still asleep, so it's a miracle. Well, good morning, Anthony. How you doing? I hope the eclipses were as tolerable as possible. I'll say that because the eclipses were insane, wild. Okay. I am going to do Sunday, October 5th, and then I'll check the chat after that to see if anyone wants to chat about their big 3 or have me pull a card for them. This is your daily horoscope for Sunday, October 5th, 2025. The action starts out around, oh, hold on. What is going on here? My settings are all messed up. One more time. This is your daily horoscope for Sunday, October 5th, 2025. The action starts out around 4:30 a.m. when the moon in Pisces forms an opposition with Venus in Virgo. When the moon sits across the sky from Venus, this can definitely bring up tension between lovers and family. It could also bring up tension in your personal relationships. It might feel like a little bit of a mini full moon moment in an important connection, whether it is with a lover or a family member or a roommate. Sometimes it can also create a sense of longing and desire, and just feeling like our needs aren't being met in the moment the way that we wish they were. Now, around 10 a.m., there's some better news because the moon in Pisces forms a trine with Jupiter in Cancer. And I love when these two planets meet in these signs specifically because they have something called mutual reception. And what that means is that the moon is in Jupiter's sign and Jupiter is in the moon sign. So Jupiter loves to be in Pisces, the moon loves to be in Cancer. So they're just better able to help each other out. So this could be a particularly lucky moment. Leading up to 10 a.m., I would say this is a great time to do spell work, to do divination, to connect with your intuition, to call on your ancestors, wise and well, your spirits, to ask for guidance, signs, and symbols that are affirming. And this could just be a moment where you learn lucky news, where you're feeling extra grateful or supported. And in general, it's just kind of a great way to start out the day. Now enjoy it while it lasts because around 5:30 p.m., the moon in Pisces will form a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces. And this is going to bring a little bit of a more serious and sobering energy. For some, it could just mean that you end up working on this day or dealing with some sort of responsibility. Maybe there is something that pops up that requires your responsible or mature side. Maybe you have to say no. Maybe you hear a no. Maybe you have to set a boundary. Whatever it is, this energy can have people feeling a little closed off emotionally and even just in a more serious or even disappointed mood as well. There will be a vibe shift around 9:30 p.m. when the moon enters Aries. Around 10:30 p.m., we have the moon in Aries forming a conjunction with Neptune in Aries. And since this is taking place at night, at least on the West Coast, I find when the moon meets with Neptune while I'm asleep, I either have trouble sleeping, like I wake up, or I'm in like a deep, deep sleep where I am like teleported out of this dimension. And when I do wake up in the morning, it's so hard to function because I feel like I have lived 7,000 lives. So pay attention to your dreams this day for sure, this evening, but also know that you might be a little sleepier as well or have trouble sleeping around this time. This could also be a moment where you have a oh shoot, I had to burp. Hold on, hold on. You have a really good cry as well. Now, around 11:30 p.m., the moon in Aries forms a sextile with Uranus and Gemini. And this brings a nice shift of energy. This can bring divine downloads. This can help you connect with your intuition. And it can help you see situations from a new perspective. So it invites change in a welcome and supportive way. All right. And just like that, we are done with the intros for next week's horoscopes. Doo-doo-doo. What a relief. It's always a relief that when I'm able to finish these before my baby wakes up because I take care of her all day, which is like such a gift and a privilege. But she is like wilder than ever these days. You're doing good. You're finishing out your last 2 weeks of work. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, where are you headed next? Did you make a decision? I can't remember if you told me last time. Um, you are moving, right? Yes. That was something we saw come through in your chart. Ah, okay. I'll pull 2 cards, just like general vibe for everybody here, just like advice, something we should know as we go out throughout our day. Vermont. I'll be going through Canada. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's right. That's right. I was telling you about how my husband's obsessed with Vermont. That is so exciting. Congratulations. I hope it is an exciting new chapter for you. Wowza. Okay. What do we need to know today? Oh, okay. So I pulled the Seven of Wands and the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups is about friendship, it's about celebration. And the Seven of Wands is a card of like battle, defending yourself. So instantly, I'm like, this gives frenemy vibes. If there are people in your world, at work, on social media, like monitoring spirits, people who are just like watching your Instagram stories, but not like cheering you on or congratulating you or rooting for you, maybe there's someone in your life who you need to really reevaluate the energy that you invest in them and that they invest in you. um, there could be just this element of feeling like you need to prove yourself in a friendship or a relationship and defend yourself. Or a lot of the times with the Seven of Wands, it can also stir up this feeling of like envy and jealousy in other people who project that onto you. So whenever you decide to tune in and watch this, that may be a little message for you or some food for thought. I'm going to think about that. My goodness. Okay. I have just probably 20 more minutes before my babe wakes up. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, but I think I'm going to go read a book. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to keep doing this because it's been fun. I've enjoyed chatting with you and seeing all of you and hearing updates. And yeah, so I'll see you next week. Okay. Bye.